supposedly I am live. I have no idea if I am live, but supposedly I am live, even though I'm live. Yeah, this is an awful start to the video. I just want to make sure the stream is working. Okay, by the way, guys, I'm sure you can see how my screen... Let me see how it looks. Let me put... Why is the quality so bad? Okay, let me put this down to 4,000. Did that fix it, maybe? Okay, seriously, what is going on here with the stream quality? Output, audio bit rate, video. Yeah, I don't see any reason why it should be like this. Oh, it is in HD. Okay, perfect. Is the audio working, though? Okay, the audio seems to be working. Let me post it. Discord. Okay. Streaming myself editing if anyone wants to watch. And I'll put it here. And let's get started. By the way, so because the way that I am editing, I likely won't be able to see too many of the comments, and I'm really just gonna do my thing, and you guys can watch. If I, you know, why don't I just hook up my phone? Actually, yeah, my phone has enough battery. I could put my phone by my keyboard because it has a phone holder, my keyboard. And that way I can view comments. Perfect. That should work. I could go ahead and get myself a third monitor from the other room, but I don't really have too many places that I could put it. Okay, so here we go. Shoot. Where's the timeline? Yay, welcome everyone. Audio better be off. Yeah, desktop audio is off right now. Okay, seriously, what's going on here? Oh, the timeline's up there. Okay. So, before I get started, you guys are probably wondering what's with the weird aspect ratio of the video, that the video looks like this. Well, it is because I split up so I have two ultra wides, and I'm showing you guys both screens of my ultra wide. So the top half is the top screen of my ultra wide, and the bottom half is the bottom screen of my ultra wide. So if it looks weird for you guys, that's why. That's why I'm doing this. Anyways, what am I going to be editing today? I will be editing a video I recorded a few days ago, which is a video explaining how Yuki from Sword Art Online might actually be scalable to SAO systems, not to SAO, to ALO system speed. Let me not do it based on that. Let me also, while I'm at it, okay, disable resamples on frame rate. Screw it, I'll just leave it at no, actually, let me do it at 30. It makes it easier. Okay, apply that for every next video. Okay, full resolution, best, Gaussian, blend field. Okay, all this should be good. I'm just making sure of all this. Okay, perfect. Now, next thing. So the video file is in, let me double check this. Okay, that's good, that's good. Okay, all that looks to be good. Enable legacy text. Okay, so I have to restart for that. File IO. MKV recording I might actually use. Sync. No, I'm not using a MIDI. External controls, that shouldn't be applicable here. Display. Okay, that should be good. And here we go. System speed Yuki. And now I just need to reopen it. So right now I'm just setting everything up so that way once it gets started, everything will be good. Okay, here. So this is the video file. Let me make the tracks larger. Just until I start adding in more tracks, really. Under music, let me add in the other files. So that should be these. Ah, shoot. Did that happen? I'll figure it out later if that happened. There's a bug with the audio recorder I use that if the day rolls over, then it'll actually like go to the different day. I'll figure it out though. Worst case, I'm gonna have to go through all the files to figure out which ones are the right ones. Whatever, I'll work with what I have here for now, and then if that is the case, I'll figure it out when I come to it. Okay, so now, first step is let me enable desktop audio. Let me know if it's too loud. And then I'm going to listen at the intro, see if any edits need to be made here, and then progress from there. Do you guys remember that video? Edit already, actually. So right now is the start of the editing phase. So this is likely going to be a level 2 edit. What that means is that this video will have baseline editing, which is cutting clips, background, and some on-screen elements. But a level 2 edit also contains some level of track motion. Because this is a new editor I'm working with, I'm not sure how much track motion I add. It might be a lot more. It might be the same amount that I usually do, just because I want to see how this plays around with the new other software that comes with it, as well as how this edit will go overall. Anyways, first also, I should probably... One second. So nested timelines, I'll probably learn how those work at a different point. I'm going to try to focus on Vegas effects right now in this video. So first, though, I need to go to selecting project media, and I need to create a proxy. Create video proxy. That shouldn't take too long, I think. And let me turn on the auto ripple. My phone is blocking it. Okay, I'm gonna Oh, it's okay. I can't really do much while it's creating that. That's annoying. That's done already. Perfect. Okay.
Other one of the years.
Perfect. Okay. Also, let me move this up a little bit. Perfect. Okay. So let's take a look. So the first thing is to go through the whole thing and to verify all the clips.
Do you guys remember that video of mine from a while back explaining why Kirito could never beat Yuki in a fair duel? Apparently the thing somehow hit 10,000 views and is still getting around 60 views a day. So in honor of that, I'm going to be doing this little mini-series explaining a lot of SAO power scaling stuff. This is the list of videos I'd like to do as long as the series tends to do well. So if this first video gets 500 views and 30 likes in the first month, then I will likely do this second video right over here, explaining that base Kirito without any form of incarnation in alicization might actually be scalable to light speed, how this is possible, how it's explained in canon, and the kicker, even if he does scale to light speed, he still can't beat Yuki, and with that being backed up by actual feats and other information. So, if you want to see that video, share this around because I want to see this thing get 500 views and 30 likes in the first month. So, let's go on to the video. The purpose of this video will be discussing whether or not Yuki scales to ALO system speed.
Okay, so then I make a cut over here, and let's see the rest of that right there. Oop. Okay, let me edit my mouse. And that should be fine. Okay. And let's unassign that. Perfect. Okay. Now, that should allow me to do is, and that worked. Okay.
System speed. To determine if Yuki is scalable to system speed, we found ways that allow them to use sword skills better. In short, the sword skill system allows for a useless nobody like Klein to live out a power fantasy where you can pull off all these crazy... The system speed is not a universal speed. For example, a sword skill coming from Agiel's mace is not... Well, maybe...
Okay, so right now I'm really just getting rid of the dead air and prepping the clips. Later on I'm going to probably have to tighten up these little edits over here, but for the purposes of right now, it's fine. It's just getting everything to a base level. That's the purpose right now.
There are also multiple factors. With all this in mind, now that you
That's fine. Considering these are long clips, I'd say these are probably still accurate and correct clips. Meaning they don't have the glitch I mentioned that it rolls over to to the next day, and then I number everything wrong. It's a weird glitch. It has more to do with how I tend to record my videos than anything.
Kirito has been confirmed to have made 3 unnamed OSSs, and presumably over the same rough time. Lastly, we have...
Okay, wow, I have 4 viewers on this. That's actually pretty good. Okay, so I'm almost done with this part of just the preparation work. After the prep work is done, what's going to happen is that I'm going to lay out the baseline edit. So, actually, I might as well put the absolute base right now. No reason not to. That should be here, I think. Yeah, and let me put that in the proper project folder. System Speed Yuki. There we go. Here's the background. So I'm going to use the same background as the last video. I custom made this a while back, and I think it still looks pretty nice. Maybe I'll update it. Maybe I'll make a different one when I'm midway through the edit. I'll just swap it out, but I'm not sure. I do still like this. So what's the purpose of the background? The background is the purpose of the background is twofold. One, it's so that way even if there is nothing actually going on the screen, that it gives you guys something to look at. The more complex, it can't be too complex that like here's a great example. I'm still going through my computer, so I don't have all my pictures that I used to have. Oh, I have one right there, actually. Where is it? Here. So this is a background from Neptunia, because of the way you guys are viewing it. Let me blow it up completely. This is a background from Neptunia Rebirth 3. Something this complex would be very bad for the type of editing for this video, simply because of the fact that it's too complex. You are not able to really guide the viewer's eye with something like this. I mean, since there's a foreground element over here, this is closer and bigger, that's a foreground element, it would likely guide the viewer towards the bottom third of the screen, but considering the type of edit that I'm going for in this video, something like this is way too complex. On the other hand, a simple, did I close? Okay, good. A single solitary color, so something like a black screen or a green screen or something like that with nothing else wouldn't really look very good, just because of the fact that it's too blank to really do much with. And then the second reason for something like this is that it allows me as the editor to have a better starting point. Because when you're looking at a blank canvas, like if I'm looking at this right here, this black screen, I have no idea what I want to do. You know what I mean? Like, how am I supposed to take this and turn it into a finished product? By having some kind of base in the form of a background, it allows me to have that starting point where I'm like, okay, let me build off this. I can do this, 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 and this. Like, oh, you know something? You see these little lines on the bottom? Would it be better to have the character models go through the line so that way they start at the absolute bottom of the screen? Or would it be better to have the character models start at the line itself? And small things like that allow me to create the framework for the video. Then also you can see there's like these little white dots everywhere, which just adds a little texture to it. So that's why I made this thing the way it is. Maybe I'll swap it out for something a little bit better and make something a little bit nicer. I'm not sure yet. I've used this for a few videos now and I seem to like it, but I might change the color. Anyways though, let's move on. Yeah, I still need to do some more cutting, but I could do the cutting later, just that way keep you guys entertained. So now that that's done, I need to review the thing from the start in order so that way I just need to review it so that way I can get into a groove, if you know what I mean.
Do you guys remember that video of mine from a while back explaining why Kirito could never beat Yuki in a fair duel? Apparently the thing somehow hit 10,000 views and is still getting around 60 views a day. So in honor of that, I'm going to be doing this little mini-series explaining a lot of SAO power scaling stuff. This is the list of videos I'd like to do as long as the series tends to do well. So if this first video gets 500 views and 30 likes in the first month. So, let's go on to the video. The purpose of this video will be discussing whether or not Yuki scales to ALO system speed.
Okay, so that's good. I think the audio might be a bit lower, so I might lower the audio of here to match that of
To
here.
determine if Yuki is scalable to system...
Yeah, it is. It's because for here I used different recording software than I did for here. So that's probably why. Now, also, I'm probably going to need the SAO assets, so I'm going to need to grab my portable hard drive to grab that, since not everything's on my computer right now. This will just take a minute. Okay, I have the drive. I just need to grab the plug. I'm going through all the files on my computer right now and just cleaning everything up so that way I can make videos like this easier in the future and for other reasons. So because of that, everything is kind of sort of a mess right now, as you can tell. Shoot. I don't have a USB port to use. Well, I do, it's just on the back and this wire's not long enough and my other wire's upstairs somewhere. Okay, 1 second. Let's do it. Okay, here we go. So, I have a USB extender. It's 3.0, thankfully, but it's not a very good one, but still, I have it. Piece of junk. There we go. So now I can plug this into the hub. And that should be starting up now. Wow, I have 5 viewers? That's pretty good, actually. I didn't expect to get that much on this. Okay, perfect. There we go. Here, all SAO stuff. The problem is I'm pretty sure this folder is pretty big and I don't want to transfer the entire thing right now. I also don't want to work off of it. So you know what? I'm gonna grab the files that I need from there as I edit in that case. Okay. Here we go. So let me see what files I need. So the next step in that case will be to look at the audio and see where that's going.
Low system speed. To determine if Yuki is scalable to system speed, we first need to understand what system speed actually means.
Okay, so that means I will need Yuki model text asset for system speed.
Low system speed. To determine if Yuki is scalable to system speed, we first need to understand what system speed actually means. For that, we need to go back to Sword Art Online, where one of the core game mechanics is its large array of sword skills offered to the player. All you need to do is perform the initial motion corresponding to the skill you'd like to activate.
That should be episode 1 SAO stuff. Do I have it no, I don't have it downloaded on here. Shoot. Seriously, this is why I'm upgrading, by the way, because normally I have all this data in front of me, everything I need I have in front of me, but not right now because of the fact that, because I'm upgrading right now. And I can't grab it right now. Shoot. I could do partial edit, yeah, let me just do baseline stuff anyways, and then I'll add the flare later on. I'll do a second round of editing, so this will be tier 2 with some tier 3 stuff.
To determine if Yuki is scalable to system speed, we first need to understand what system speed actually means. For that, we need to go back to Sword Art Online, where one of the core game mechanics is its large array of sword skills offered to the player. All you need to do is perform the initial motion corresponding to the skill you'd like to activate, and then the system will guide your body through the motions, allowing you to move significantly faster and more accurately than your body can naturally do on its own.
Okay, marker right over here. SAO episode 1. What am I putting there? Kirito plus Klein training.
To do is perform the initial motion corresponding to the skill you'd like to activate, and then the system will guide your body through the motions, allowing you to move significantly faster and more accurately than your body can naturally do on its own. More notably, however, by guiding your body through the motions, it allows you to perform actions that you would normally be physically incapable of doing without having peak human reaction speed. Exactly why generally players who have experience...
Here, let me replace the flag with a marker.
Naturally do on its own. More notably, however, by guiding your body through the motions, it allows you to perform actions that you would normally be physically incapable of doing without having peak human reaction speed. This is exactly why generally players who have experience with things like kendo are able to perform better on average than the average player. Their brains are already trained to react to sword swings, and experience with things like kendo are able to perform better.
Okay, here. Marker, SAO, Arc 2, Lifa, Kendo. So those markers are to signify later on when I go back and do... So here's how the edit is going to go. Basically, the first run through the... So I have to go through all this multiple times. This is how... I have no idea how people do things professionally. This is just how I do things after years of me figuring out, hey, this is what's optimal for what I'm making. You know what I mean? I've been making YouTube videos for nearly a decade, and I've been editing with Vegas for over 5 years, so I kind of figured things out by this point. So for the types of videos I edit, what it makes the most sense by this point, considering the complexity to do, is that I start by going through the video 1 or 2 times. And when I go through the video, what I'll do is I'll add in small edits. So for example, let's say that between the 2 clips of audio, there is dead air. So in this case, I already cut it. So if you look over here...
The system speed is not a speed. The system speed is not a system speed. The system...
So you can see that there's just enough of a pause that it's not too short, but there's not too much of a pause that's too long, which is what's optimal. And if you compare that with something like over here, where I really didn't get the chance to edit that yet, you can see that here, this entire clip is actually blank even. So if I were to play this...
Demonstrably unbelievable and move... What?
I knew it. Okay, so these clips, I need to go back into here and... I mislabeled a bunch of things, it turns out. So here, right over here, like if you were to listen to this, this doesn't sound like a finished product.
What?
And then this is like 10 seconds of dead air, as you can see, and that's absolutely not optimal. Now, most of the time, this clip right here would probably be gone, and it would be that just because the time between me hitting start recording and then stop recording and actually talking, there is this small level of dead air that you generally need to get rid of. And that dead air is something that I would clean up in the first run through the video. Other things I'd clean up in that first run are things like over here where I would put, okay, you know what, this is an idea for what I want to do here. Or maybe I'll put a character model in certain places, but it's not heavy editing, it's mostly planning out the edit. After the edit is planned out, that's when I get started with some of the more serious edits. So that, one second, I got a Discord thing. Is it from, okay, I can't read that right now. When I started to plan out the edit, and so after the edit is planned out, then I'm able to go back to the start of the thing. I'm able to go in there and add some of the baseline elements. So that would mean that if I didn't add character models, I start adding character models. It means I add some of the anime clips, and everything here would be with no track motion, no nothing. This is different from how I've edited in the past. My previous editing style was that I will usually go through the video a little bit as I go along, but now I'm figuring out it's probably more optimal to do it in multiple ways through. And then before, what I would do is that I would do an entire, like, I would edit from start to finish the finished product, or as close to it as possible. So for example, when I'm adding the track motions, if I add a character model over here, I'll add the character model and I'll add all the track motions onto it to make it the finished product. And then later on, maybe I'll go back and I'll make some adjustments. But honestly, I'm starting to think that from a time perspective, that might not actually be optimal. And it might be more optimal for me to plan it out like this, where I separate the project and I do it that first I plan it out, and then after I plan it out, then I start adding baseline elements, and then after the baseline elements, then I do some light animation work and adjust things from there. So that's my rationale with how I am going to make this video. Now on top of that, there's also a wildcard factor with this video specifically in the new tools I have access to that I didn't previously have. So now I have Vegas 17 with Vegas Effects and Vegas Image, and I really want to start incorporating those tools into my video now that I have access to those, especially Vegas Effects, since it's an After Effects thing and I can't get into After Effects just because I don't like it. But I tried out Vegas Effects for like half an hour last week. I'm really liking it, what I see of it. And Vegas Image especially, I am loving every bit of it. It's not nearly as fleshed out as Photoshop. I still need Photoshop for a lot of things. I don't really mind using Photoshop though, but the few things that Vegas Image was able to do that I did try out, it did significantly better than Photoshop, which I really liked. Anyways, now back to planning out the video. So hit play.
In short, the sword skill system allows for a useless nobody like Klein to live out a power fantasy where you could...
Okay, so maybe I should put better notes in places, actually. So
to determine if Yuki is scalable to system speed, we first need...
Marker. Yuki model.
To determine if Yuki is scalable to system speed, we first need to understand what system speed actually means. For that, we need to go back to Sword Art Online, where one of the core game mechanics is to determine if Yuki is scalable to system
speed graphic. So I'm gonna have to make some kind of graphic for that.
System speed. We first need to understand what system speed actually means. For that, we need to go back to Sword Art Online, where one of the core game mechanics is its large array of sword skills offered means. For that, we need to go back to
SAO logo.
Sword Art Online, where one of the core game mechanics is its large array of sword skills offered to the player. All you need to do is perform the initial motion corresponding to the skill you'd like to activate, and then the system will guide your body through the motions, allowing you to move significantly faster and more accurately than your body can naturally do on its own. More notably, however, by guiding your body through the motions, it allows you to perform actions that you would normally be physically incapable of doing without having peak human reaction speed. This is exactly why generally players who have experience with things like Kendo are able to perform better on average than the average player. Their brains are already trained to react to sword swings and to move their body in ways that allow them to use sword skills better. In short, the sword skill system allows for a useless nobody like...
Okay, here is going to be a Klein model.
Like Klein to live out a power fantasy where you can pull off all these crazy...
SAO F1 Klein killing pig. I'm probably going to use that clip just because it's more comedic. So I want to use a more comedic thing over here because the whole joke over here is that I'm like, the whole system with SAO is that it's able to turn a useless nobody like Klein into someone that's capable of doing these crazy powerful moves. So because I'm calling him a useless nobody, the joke is then going to be further established through the editing by showing how excited he was in episode 1 after he killed the pig. So a lot of editing really is that you're using those editing tricks to reinforce your points. Like a lot of the time when I'm scripting something, I'm like, you know what? I get it, like with the script, like I made my point, but I don't think this is emphasized enough. Like I'll write, you know what, like Yuki was able to do this, which is nuts, but then in my mind I'm like, no, this isn't like emphasized enough, and I don't know how to get it across to the viewer how important this one point is. But then what I'll do is in the editing, that's where everything comes together, because when you have solid editing backing up a good script, then you're able to reinforce those points, even if through the commentary you're not entirely sure if the commentary alone is able to sell the point. So let's continue.
To pull off all these crazy chains of attacks that would normally take years of real life training to perform. The speed at which the system accelerates a person's body to use a sword skill is therefore called the system speed. The system
Okay, here. System speed graphic.
The system accelerates a person's body to use a sword skill is therefore called the system speed. The system speed is not a universal speed. For example, a sword skill coming from Agil's mace is not going.
So I'm pretty sure, where did Agil use his mace? I'm pretty sure he used his mace in the Mother's Rosario arc, and possibly, no, he also might have used it in Season 1 against the Skull Reaper. SAO, Agil with mace. Yeah, I think I should be able to remember that.
It's going to be as fast as a sword skill coming from Asuna's.
Okay. Asuna, Rapier. Agil plus Asuna side by side. So this is to signify, you know, I'll put those two things side by side.
Not the sword skill coming from Asuna's rapier.
Wow,
Additionally, due to the way that SAO is written, it's not possible to get a definitive number of how fast any attacks.
It's not pausing. Okay. I feel like this live stream is actually pretty educational for you guys, considering that I'm talking more than I usually would. And this earlier part of the video, I'm able to explain a lot more than if I would be more in the later stage of the video, where everything is more nailed down, and I can't really like explain things since it's more, hey, this is already, I already figured things out.
That SAO is written, it's not possible to get a definitive number of how fast any attacks actually are, or if there's a set acceleration rate. Put simply, there's no way for me to calculate that. For example, the system speed is exactly 342 miles per hour. Just because we can't put an exact number to it, though, doesn't mean this is a pointless comparison. System speed is heavily implied to be at the very peak of what is humanly possible in a traditional.
Maybe I'll put Batman thing there, because Batman
very peak of what is humanly possible in a traditional VR game within the bounds of the system, with the key within the bounds of the system excluding any kind of incarnation feats. While it may be possible for a person to move at system speed without. Feats. While it may be possible for a person to move a system speed.
By the way, if anyone has any questions on the editing process or anything like that, feel free to ask and I'll answer any kind of questions anyone may have. Shoot, what happened? Is it crashing? Please don't crash. Please don't crash. Please don't crash. I mean, I saved, but I'd prefer it not to crash. What is going on? Yeah, it's crashing. Yeah, it crashed.
While it may be possible for a person to move at system speed without the use of incarnation, it's such a difficult feat that can only realistically be used in very specific and niche circumstances. So it may be possible for a person to move at system speed without the use of incarnation is such a difficult feat that can only realistically be used in very specific.
Well, it may be possible for someone to move at system speed without the use of incarnation. How would I edit that is the question. Moving at system speed without the use of incarnation. So I could go the simple route and literally just show... I'll put a TBD there. TBD. Leave models on screen. Show incarnation. I don't know.
Maybe possible.
Me want to try to do something productive. Please don't crash mantra. Usually I don't have a lot of crashing issues generally, especially with this newer software and especially ever since Vegas Pro 16. But yeah, it turns out the hardware you're using actually plays a significant role in it, a lot bigger of a role than I ever realized. For example, if you're editing off of a mechanical hard drive, then from my experience with Vegas, it's a lot more likely to crash. I have a guess as to why, but I can't really confirm it, and it's very technical, so I'm sure you guys wouldn't really care. If you do care, comment, I'll explain it, and it's only a theory anyways.
Assesses as far too difficult to be realistically used.
Wait, is my audio on? Yeah, one sec. Oop. Okay, I need to see if desktop audio is actually on.
Or OSSs as far too difficult.
Yeah, desktop audio is on. I was thinking for a second the desktop audio was off. Imagine that. Okay, that would be like, why are 4 people watching if the desktop audio is off?
Or OSSs as far too difficult to be realistically used in an actual fight. Think of system speed as the equivalent of a video game speedrunner attempting a task-only trick.
So this I know how to do. So actually that's something interesting that maybe I'll incorporate into future scripting, something I just realized. So let me give you guys my mindset when I was scripting this. My mindset was, you know something, I already figured things out, but in order to illustrate the point right here, so let me open the script so that way you can see it even. Here. So, explaining something like this, it might be possible for a person to move at system speed, even though system speed cannot be specifically defined, because I can't put a number to it, so you can't just visualize in your head, oh, it's 300 whatever miles per hour. No. It's not a specific speed, it varies, and even if we could get the speed, it's different for each person. How are you supposed to visualize that? How am I even supposed to edit that? So, in order to better visualize in your guys' mind when I was writing the script, I thought, you know something, what I could do is I can compare it to something that more people can visualize in their mind, which is a speed run. Because creating an OSS is kind of like a speed run for making a sword skill in a way, due to the way it is. So actually, now that I think about it, and now that I realize it, because right over here with the edit, I'm like, you know what, to be determined. I have no idea how I'm going to take this part of the script, this part of the script right here, explaining how it's more difficult, blah, 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 and turn that into a visual thing. But a speedrun thing right over here, when I'm talking about speedrunning, that's pretty easy. All I have to do is show footage of speedrunners moving really fast through games or something like that. So now that I think about it, when scripting, it might actually be smarter to use analogies more frequently than I usually do, just because that would actually allow me to both, it would allow both for you guys to better visualize it, as well as allow me a better opportunity to make the editing more interesting. So that's something maybe I'll incorporate into future scripts now that I think about it. Okay, so here... rename it. Let me rename something. Speed run footage.
Think of system speed as the equivalent of a video game speedrunner attempting a task-only trick. A task or tool-assisted speedrun is a category of speedrunning where the player uses things like save states and frame-perfect inputs in order to create the theoretically perfect speedrun. There are some task-only tricks that are technically humanly possible, but in practice are so impractically difficult that they can never realistically be used in an actual speedrun. In this analogy, system speed will be the equivalent of a task-only shortcut that requires you to perform several pixel and frame-perfect inputs in a row.
Okay. show actual example of a game that has this. I'm gonna have to do some research for that. I already know where to begin researching for that. Probably some summon salt videos to find like a specific thing. Maybe I'll like take a portion of his video and then I'll credit him as like in the corner says summon via summon salt, something like that.
Speed will be the equivalent of a test-only shortcut that requires you to perform several pixel and frame-perfect inputs in a...
Okay, Ronelem 2000 says, personally, I think the system speed is related to latency on a video game. A game's cardinal versus brain reaction time, which would explain all of its ambiguity. Yes and no. Yes, it is. But okay. The purpose of this video really is to explain it, but I'll explain it in a more simplified term so that we understand it. There is reaction speed, which that's what you're thinking of. Reaction speed is more similar to latency and brain reaction time. But that is very different from system speed. System speed is the acceleration rate at which a sword skill will operate. Meaning that if you use a sword skill, like let's say you are using you're using a linear, which is a rapier skill where you very fast just thrust really straight. It's a single hit. It's really simple. What happens with that is that the game will actually speed up your body in order so that way you can perform the skill more easily. Just like I explained before, all you have to do is perform that initial motion, that you move your body in a way to mimic the initial motion of the sword skill, and then the system will effectively do the rest, allowing it so that way you can do these really crazy things even if you don't have enough skill to realistically do it with your actual skill. So imagine it like that you're just some moron like me. Like, imagine you're 500 pounds overweight playing an avatar that weighs like 150, and that obviously you really, like, if you're 500 pounds in real life, I don't care if they give you a 150-pound avatar, there's no way you're going to have the coordination to do backflips and all the kinds of sword skills that we see in Sword Art Online. So what happens is you don't need the kind of coordination in order to do that. All you need to do is perform that initial motion, and the system will physically speed up your body as well as guide your movements to that of the sword skill itself. And it's to the point that while you're doing the sword skill, you're not even able to fully control your body. You can attempt to like move around to certain degrees. You have a certain amount of leeway as far as my understanding goes, but I don't think you're even able to cancel it once it gets started. So that's the idea behind a sword skill. And okay, basically system I just forgot why I was discussing sword skills. System speed is that speed that the sword skill will accelerate you to. So if normally you're able to move your body around, like swinging your arms around like 10-15 miles per hour, and a sword skill operates at like 100 miles per hour, then the system will actually accelerate your body to moving at 100 miles per hour. Now, the system speed itself is also variable depending on your weapons and stats. So, for example, if you're using a mace like Egil, like I discussed in this video, then the mace is not a weapon that's designed for speed. It's a weapon that's designed for bludgeoning. And also, it's a very heavy weapon, so because of that, the system speed for a weapon like that won't be very high. But if you compare that to something like a rapier, like what Asuna has, which is as far as I'm aware at least, or probably confirmed actually, I don't think it's the fastest weapon in the game. I think that would probably be bows in ALO, but in terms of close quarters combat weapons, like stabby weapons, that's rapiers, I'm pretty sure are the fastest, if not maybe knives. But I'm pretty sure rapiers are still faster than even knives. It's a speed type weapon. It's a jabbing weapon. You just jab it straight into the opponent. That's what it is designed for, and the speed around that is what it's designed for. So because of that, if you have a speed type character like Asuna operating a speed type weapon that has a very light weapon like that, then what's going to happen is that the system speed for a character like Asuna will be significantly faster than for a character like Egil. So that's what system speed actually means. It's not latency or anything like that. What you're thinking is reaction time. So let's go back to the video.
In theory, there's nothing really stopping you from doing it, but in practice, it's so unbelievably difficult that it's viewed as impossible. This is why generally, system speed is impossible to be used for the most part in an actual fight, and is usually reserved only for the creation of OSSs. Additionally, there are multiple factors that affect how fast the system speed will even accelerate you.
Yeah,
weapon type and weight, along with the user's strength and agility stats, are some of the main determining factors. In this analogy, system speed would be the equivalent of a task-only shortcut that requires you to perform several pixel and frame-perfect inputs in a row. In theory, there's nothing really stopping you from doing it, but in practice, it's so unbelievably difficult that it's viewed as impossible. In this case, fighting at system speed is effectively impossible simply due to the sheer difficulty. However, when you use a sword skill, the sword skill will operate at system speed because that's how sword skills work. There are also multiple factors that affect how fast the system speed will accelerate you. Weapon type and weight, along with the user strength and agility stats, are some of the main determining factors. With all this in mind, in order to be scalable to system speed, you need to be able to not just achieve system speed without any assistance, but you need to be able to do so consistently enough that you can fight at that speed in an actual battle. Now that you understand what system speed means, we can look at Yuki's confirmed feats to see if she could operate at system speed.
Okay. Yuki model.
Now that you understand what...
Oh yeah, I definitely confused the system speed reaction time extremely early on. Oof.
Now that you understand what system speed means, we can look at Yuki's confirmed feats to see if she could operate at system speed consistently. We could then compare that with the other characters in the series to see if fighting at system speed is particularly impressive to begin with. For this, we won't be pulling any punches, and we'll be comparing Yuki to the Lightning Flash herself, Asuna. Asuna is considered to be one of, if not the fastest fighter in the entire SAO series. Outside of sustained flight speed, where both Asuna and Yuki are outclassed by Leafa, Asuna is likely the fastest character in the entire SAO series. Outside of
here, so that let me do a marker. SAO ep, that should be 24. Asuna and Yuki versus Leafa race. Pretty sure that was episode 24.
Outside of sustained flight speed, where both Asuna and Yuki are outclassed by Leafa, Asuna is likely the fastest character in terms of physical fighting speed when not factoring in...
No, wait, what just happened? Oh.
Incarnation. In addition to her absurd base running and fighting speeds, her primary weapon is a rapier, which is the fastest close-range weapon in Incarnation. And in Incarnation, to her absurd...
Okay, so this is pretty simple. Berserk, okay. SAO indicating the anime. Berserk healer scene. What episode was that again? That was episode 15, 16, 17. That would be 18. That would be 20. Episode 20.
To her absurd base running and fighting speed. Her primary weapon is a rapier, which is the fastest close-range weapon in the game, and her reaction speed, while less than Kirito's, is still very comparable. With all this in mind, even if you want to argue that Asuna isn't the fastest in ALO, it would be pretty hard to find somebody who is convincingly and significantly faster enough in ALO to say that this isn't a fair comparison, thus determining convincingly and significantly faster enough in A.
Sometimes little things like that, like little mistakes in the edit, in the commentary like that, I could fix without too much issue. If it doesn't sound good when I try to fix it, then I'm just going to leave it as it was originally, because I'm not good enough at audio editing to really realistically fix it properly.
Faster enough. I need
to cut a few more frames.
Faster enough.
Maybe if I actually do a 1 frame pause...
we fast enough in AO. We fast enough in AO. Fast enough in ALO to say that this isn't significantly fast enough in ALO.
Yeah, it mostly just sounds like an audio glitch there.
Fast enough in ALO.
Yeah, it mostly just sounds like an audio glitch right there, which I'm okay with. I'd rather it just sound like a really tiny, quick audio glitch than for it to sound, like I said, faster enough. Dumb grammar mistakes. So that's like the kinds of simple things that I'll fix.
And significantly fast enough in ALO to say that this isn't a fair comparison. Thus, determining if Yuki is scalable to system speed is as simple as proving that Yuki without the system assistance is faster than Asuna with the system assistance in the context of a one-on-one fight. Before we compare Asuna and Yuki, we need to go over Yuki's relevant feats in order to demonstrate that any evidence discussed is part of a larger consistent.
10 o'clock. I have to go do some stuff, actually. Okay, I got like a good hour or two of editing done. Realistically, more like an hour. I got through around half of this. Yeah, that should be fine for now. I'll do some more editing tomorrow, I guess. Okay, so that's going to be it for the stream. I know it was a bit shorter than usual, but I need to go do some stuff. Yeah, though, so I'm going to be continuing to edit this thing. This should take around 2 or 3 weeks to edit, most likely at the level I'd like to edit it. Make sure to like, favorite, and subscribe, and I will be doing more streams like this